The first system type we'll look at here is Graphics-CAD-CAM design workstations. Now, a computer that's going to be used by a drafter or a graphic designer, an architect, or an engineer is going to need to be a fairly beefy system. I have good friends who make their living in this field, so I can attest to it. My own wife, Susan, has been a print graphic designer for many years, so we want to emphasize CPU power, multiple CPUs or at least multi-core CPUs. CAD stands for computer-aided design. CAM stands for computer-aided manufacturing, by the way. Those 3D renders are very taxing, so you'll need a beefy video card that has lots of RAM and a dedicated GPU. Speaking of RAM, system RAM, SD RAM, should be as high as possible as well. Operating systems, in my experience, is a pretty even split between OS X and Windows. I don't see much Linux in this line of work, probably because the drivers available for the high-end video cards aren't as good as what you get from Windows and OS X. With that kind of hardware, you're talking about a full tower form factor and potential build gotchas building this kind of a system. Number one, just making sure that the hardware all works together. Sometimes, and this really ticks me off when this happens, when I build a system, I do all this research to make sure the components will work together, and then there are still glitches once everything comes together. It may not be hardware, but it could be a software incompatibility, operating systems, drivers, and even end-user applications that choke on some of the hardware I selected. I took a couple pictures of a CAD-CAM workstation that one of my colleagues at Pluralsight uses. This is a pretty beefy machine. It's a full tower. It's very, very large, as you can see. We have a modular power supply down at the bottom. You see a lot of venting. There's some good airflow going on in this chassis. That is a liquid cooling unit you see coming off of the CPU and feeding directly to the rear case fan. The front of the box just shows that you've got lots of expansion capability with those 5 1/4 inch bays for breakout boxes, optical drives, and so forth.